cookies and the butter bread, so there may not be anything left by the time we start this program and finish it tonight. So please help me keep an eye on him. We really appreciate you being here tonight. We have a lot of information to go over in a short amount of time. I was driving here tonight thinking about we are 9 months away from graduation. I know the heartburn that causes me. I can't imagine the heartburn that causes you. So we're going to present a lot of information in a short amount of time. I ask you that we show respect for each other, try to keep the noise down the best we can so we can hear all these important announcements tonight. So at this time, I want to turn it over to Ms. Harold, our Butter Bread representative.
Hello, I'm Susie Harold with VIP Fundraising, and I'm going to talk to you about butter breads. If you haven't come and sampled them, I've made plenty. I have strawberry, cream cheese, and cinnamon for you all to taste. So what they are, they're a frozen pastry. I don't know if you all can see me, but when you get them, they look like this. They're frozen. So when you get them delivered, make sure that you get them in the freezer right away or deliver them to people. So you are going to sell them for $14, but each one, $5 will come back towards prom. Was it prom and project graduation? Is that the things that it's going to? So you will make $5 back towards that. The different flavors available are apple, blueberry, cream cheese, cinnamon, double chocolate premium dessert, strawberry cream cheese, and you also have a cookie dough to sell, which I didn't make any cookies. Chocolate chips, snickerdoodle, and triple chocolate. And each one of those items sell for $14, and again, you get $5 back. There also is a 4 cheese and herb, and it comes with marinara sauce. It's kind of like a garlic bread, and it's delicious. If you haven't ever had these, please try them. I brought them for you. They will be delivered on Thursday, September 27th. You will have your order form. I think everyone was handed one. The first thing you need to do is make sure you put your name on it. You are going to get the money when you take the order. You can take cash or checks, and the checks need to be made to John Hardin High School. Your goal, they want your goal to be to sell 10 items. So when you turn in your order form and your money, it will be due to Ms. Filer on Monday, September 10th, and they will be delivered on September 27th at 2 p.m. Remember to get them in the freezer right away. They do take 12 hours, but they will bust open and rise. Does anybody have any questions? Ms. Filer, any other things I should mention? Please feel free to come up and have a sample.
First, I have a transcript here for Alejandro. We did find it. You'll raise your hand, we can bring it to you. My name is Tammy Filer. I'm one of your senior sponsors, along with Maggie Vogel. It's going to be a quick, fast year. If you haven't already signed up for Remind 101, please do so. That information is on the handout that we've given you this afternoon. Everything that we're going to discuss is on that handout you picked up when you got your transcripts. We have a Remind 101 for students and for volunteers. The main thing to stay informed. You can email us, call us, look at the website, post the paper on your refrigerator, anything that's going to help you see the dates. We have a Kroger Cares fundraiser. You don't have to do anything. If you'll just go online, follow the directions that were given to you this evening. And then we have a Butter Bread fundraiser that you have samples up here. And those are the dates that she just discussed about when they're due and when the butter bread will be brought back to school. Spirit sales will go on beginning September the 10th. We'll do that for 1 week, and usually it takes about 2 weeks for the items to come back. And as you can see, we're getting ready to start. September the 11th is the first thing that we'll do is senior pictures. It's the drape and tufts. Then Balfour will be here in October for the presentation of cap and gowns and announcements. We'll have another makeup for tucks and drapes. Balfour will take orders, and then November the 28th, we'll have our first event, senior dinner. Prom is May the 18th. Prom takes a lot of people to get this room decorated. We'll start decorating or putting things together the week of, and then we stay late that Friday night, May the 17th. Senior trip right now is scheduled for May the 9th through the 11th, and if you have any questions, please call or email me, and I'll be happy to answer any of them. These are the additional senior expenses that you're going to see on the back of that form, and if you have any questions, I will be here at the end, and you're welcome to come up and ask.
I'm Miss Moore, and I'm one of the senior English teachers, and Miss Field over here is one of our other senior English teachers. Just going to talk to you for a minute about work ethics certification. Maybe your seniors talked to you about it before. We're starting working on that. Some of the classes have already been, and some of them will start this week. So the work ethics certification is something that's countywide. All 3 high schools do it. It's an opportunity for your senior to get real-world experience with interviews, creating resumes. And essentially, they will apply at the end of their English Part A. So for some of them, that might be right now. For some of them, that won't be until February. They'll apply. They'll need a resume. They need references. They write a short essay about what Hardin County calls the grade 8 work ethic standards, like being on time. And then, based on their applications are scored. And if they get a high enough score, they move on to the next round, which is interviews, and community members come in to all 3 high schools and interview students. And then if they do well at that stage as well, they'll get what we call the work ethics certification. They'll wear cords at graduation. And essentially that means, why they want to do it in the long run, is that we have partners throughout the county who are work ethic employers. And as a work ethic employer, when an applicant comes who has their work ethic certification, if they tell the company when they apply, they're guaranteed an interview. And as we know, a lot of times getting the interview is the difficult part. So that's one of the advantages they get from that. There will also be one scholarship recipient chosen at each high school. So we'll also have the opportunity to get a scholarship. We're really proud of John Hardin High School. For the past 2 years. We've had the highest number of seniors who have obtained the work ethic certification. So we just hope that this class continues on with that, displaying their hard work ethic. If you have any questions, you can ask your child's senior English teacher. Any questions?
All right. Something I just thought about when they talked about when the senior trip is, that is right smack dab in the middle of AP testing. So if your child, I don't know exactly which ones are on those dates. I don't have those dates memorized yet. I will, but it's not time yet. But if they are going on the senior trip and they are planning to take an AP exam that is on that day, then when they sign up, they have to let me know, because that will be a late testing situation. There may be a late fee with that. It depends on how AP is feeling that day, on if they allow that without a late fee or with a late fee. So just keep that in mind. And then I'm going to hand it over to Tony Wiley with Kentucky Higher Education Authority. Ms. Wiley will talk about this, but she will be back in October, about the middle of October. I don't know if you've got all the dates and everything. And so she will be back here to answer individual questions about completing the FAFSA. We tell students, Mr. Lewis and I tell them that he nor I will ever answer an individual question about that. That is a financial document that we do not even pretend to know everything that there is to know. So we leave that to the experts. And when she comes back, she will have some representatives from ECTC here as well, from their financial aid office. And she will be here to answer individual questions, and you'll sign up for time slots. So the goal is it opens up on October 1st so that you can get in there and get started. And then if you have questions, when she's here, come in and just ask those individual questions before submitting the final document.
Good evening.
My name's Tony Wiley. I'm your outreach counselor, and I have walked your walk. I have a son who graduated high school 6 years ago, and I'm very proud to say he graduated college last year. So he got through in 4 years, and it's a wild ride that senior year. So the main thing I want to do before I start talking about dates is to just recommend you breathe and enjoy the ride. The senior year does go quickly. And I know, are any of you all as parents feeling stress? Are your students feeling stressed yet? They may be, but here's the thing. You don't have to know all the answers yet. What we want to do is make sure that you meet all the deadlines so that whenever they do make up their mind, hopefully they can get into the things that they want to do. So the company that I work with, Kia, we do a lot of things. We help distribute the KEYS money. So that's the money they get for good grades while they're in high school. We also distribute the grants, the state grants. We come as outreach counselors and help your students process the FAFSA. We help with college application days, a lot of different things. So hopefully we'll see your students a few times through the year. The one catalog that you got, College Circuit, in the back, there's a section for notes. If you don't mind, I'd like you to open it up and turn to that, because I'm going to give you some dates I would like for you to write down. So everybody hopefully has a pen. If you don't have a College Circuit, you're on the table, and you're welcome to come up and get them afterwards or now. But a couple of dates that I want to remind you about. The first one is if your student is currently planning on taking a dual credit class while they're in high school, we offer 2 free dual credit scholarships. If they did not already take advantage of that in their junior year, they can have 2 free dual credit classes this year. They would go to our website, which is all over that brochure, kia.com, and they would log in the upper right-hand corner. They would click on sign in. It takes about 2 minutes to make an account. They do need to know their social security number. And once they're in, they would log into My Kia. Now, at this moment, I just pulled it up on my phone. The application is not active yet, so don't panic. It will become active, probably after Labor Day. So they're going to have about 2 weeks to log into their account, go to My Kia, and on the left-hand column, they will see the scholarships. When they see the dual credit highlighted in blue, they just click it. It doesn't even take 5 minutes to fill it out. It's just one tab, and there's like 8 things they click. The deadline, and this is what I want you to write down, if they are applying for that dual credit scholarship, they need to apply by Saturday, September 15th. That's the first date that I want to tell you about. The next date I want to tell you about is Monday, September 17th. A big part of the senior year is getting familiar with the colleges. And we're so fortunate that in our county, over at EC3, do you all know where that is? Between the community college and the library, we're going to have a really big college fair. And we may have 30 to 40 colleges there. That is a great time to talk to them, find out if they waive the application fee, when are good times to go visit. Can you go watch a class? Can you stay the night? Some colleges let you do that. That is the time that the colleges are saying hello to you all. There's going to be a ton of them there. During that night, I will be doing 2 Paying for College presentations, similar to this, but longer so you get more details. Just helpful tips on what to do. So I hope that you'll bring your students and come out and check out the college fair. That is Monday evening, September 17th, from 5:30 to 7:30 at EC3. It is our regional college fair. The next deadline, if your students are doing the dual credits, is going to be Monday, October 1st. That is the day they need to re-log into by that day, re-log in, and they need to say which college they're doing the dual credit and which semester. So if they're doing a reading or a history class at HCEC-TV in the fall, they would click on Fall HCEC-TV. If they're doing maybe a math class at WKU in the spring, they just need to say WKU in the spring. If you don't tell us where to send the money, we cannot send the money, and you will get billed, okay? So to get the scholarship, they need to apply by September 15th. It's not open yet, but it will be. And then they need to firm up where they want it to go and which semester by October 1st. Okay. Once your students have had a chance to meet colleges, the next part is we want to find out how to pay for the college and then apply to the college. So I will be coming here along with Elizabethtown Community College and maybe some other colleges on Thursday, October 25th. We will be here from 1 till 6 in the evening. And Ms. Harden in the guidance office keeps a list where she can sign people up, okay? So we try to spread you out through that time period and divide it so that everybody can have individualized attention. And like Ms. Kara was saying, if you want to start the FAFSA, it's so much easier now than it used to be. You can either start it and submit it. As long as you submit it 3 days before the 25th, we can pull it up and review it. But if you submit it within 3 days, they don't let you look at it in that 3-day period, okay? And sometimes it's helpful for us to just scan it and spot check for mistakes. That happens sometimes, and it's easy to do, and with a quick glance over, all of us that are familiar with it can catch those errors. So if you want to try it by yourself, that's great. You can wait to submit till you're with us. You can submit ahead of time, and if you're not sure, come in, we'll review it. Or you can start the whole thing and we'll finish it at that time. Now, I'm going to go back to the slide here, and I just want to talk about very quickly the types of financial aid. There's basically 4 kinds. The first one is my favorite. It's grants. G for gift, G for grant. We do not pay those back. And we have several in our state that we offer, depending on the family's income. Now, the reason we do the FAFSA is to see what kind of resources there could be. It does not mean that you have to pay for your child's college. It's just trying to see what's the family situation, is there help, or do we need to offer help to get them through school? The second kind is scholarships. That's based on your student. And there's all kinds of scholarships out there. I always heard money was left on the table. I never believed it till I got this job. And in fact, my first year, there were 500 grants for $1,000. Do you know how many people applied? 394. That means 106 students could have written their name in a paragraph and gotten $1,000 because nobody claimed it. There's money out there, but you have to meet the deadlines, and your counselors will have things listed on the website. That one call remind is a fantastic way to get reminders of what's coming up. So scholarships are based on your student. They could be athletic, academic, club-oriented, music, drama, many, many things out there that a college could reward your student and help them pay for school. Work study is a different kind of thing. It is considered financial aid, even though your student has to have a job. When you fill out the FAFSA, it will ask, is your student interested in work study? I always recommend saying yes. It does not guarantee them a job. It does not mean they have to take the job. But if they say, I don't know, all the jobs will be gone before they get to them. So a work study job could be anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 a year. The difference with a work study, A grant is going to go one shot to the school. Same thing with a scholarship. But the work study is earned over the year. And the wonderful thing about work study is, if your student shows up to that job and they don't have work, they will pay them to sit there and study. Now, where it gets tricky, you will see that on the award letter and think, oh, we have this knocking off the bill. But they're going to pay your student once a month. Now, if it's like my son, when he went down to University of Cumberland's, on the day he registered, we clicked, turned that money over to his bill. So he never saw the money, it went directly to his bill. But if it goes to your student, they can buy pizza with it. And they're going to need pizza. Believe me, they will. But if you are planning on it reducing the bill and they use it for expenditures, it's not going to reduce the bill. So you just have to have a very clear understanding at the beginning how you want that money to work. The other nice thing about work study, your student is networking with people at the college. A lot of times this can lead to jobs down the road. I think it's a great thing. The last kind of financial aid is considered a loan. Now you might ask, why would a loan be considered financial aid if I have to pay it back? Well, the reality is sometimes families get into financial trouble and you may not be able to get a loan. You may not have good credit, and so your student wouldn't have access. In our country, every student whose family does the FAFSA is entitled to a student loan if they need it for the price of that college, okay? So that loan could be up to $5,500 their first year. Now, in some instances, that seems like way too much. In some instances, it may seem like way too little. But when you think of an 18 or 19-year-old going off to college when they never have, and think how many times we've changed our minds since we were 18 or 19. If they start college and quit, they could have a $5,500 debt and nothing to touch, okay? So we want to keep loans as low as possible. All right. We put out a book called Affording Higher Education. There's one in the library here, at the public library, and at the guidance offices. We also have it online. If you go to our website and type in Affording Higher Education, you can find the PDF version of this. It lists every college by county that we've been told about. So if there's a Kiwanis, Rotary, Optimist, Republican, Democratic, whoever party that has a scholarship that has told us, it's in that book. Now, most of the private scholarships don't become active till January, but your guidance office has those deadlines and things posted ahead of time. If you go to Hardin County, you can see what's out there. But you want to spend some time on that book because there could be some scholarships that affect more than one county. It could be something that's for Bullitt and Hardin. So you just have to spend a little bit of time looking through that book. It's a good idea to see what is out there. Okay, this is what the FAFSA looks like now. And I'm going to have us look in our book. I'm going to have us flip through a couple pages real quickly. If you look at pages 8 and 9, this is a list of some action items you might want to take with your student being a senior. If you're worried you're going to miss something, we've listed some highlights, so that gives you an idea of what to look for. If you look at page 10, we've kind of broken down the year. What you need to do in the fall, the winter, and the spring. So this is just kind of helpful. And as you're visiting schools and talking, we've left room for you to make notes when you're having discussions. If you look at page 14, it is going to begin discussing how to do the FAFSA. For those of us that have done it online, it never looked like this. It's been a blue screen for years. Now it's black, okay? So don't go into shock or think you've gone to the wrong place. If you're already used to doing this, they redesigned it. You may have heard that the FAFSA will make you pull your hair out. It can be frustrating sometimes, but it really is easier now than it used to be. The biggest hiccup is the parent has to have an ID, and the student has to have an ID. And just think about it, if you've been shopping with Amazon, iTunes, Walmart, whoever you do your online banking or shopping with, you need two things to get in, your ID and a password. If you forget those, you could get locked out, right? The government really locks you out. And it can take a few days to get back in if you don't remember your ID and password when you set this up. We can help you with it that day, or you can do it ahead of time, but you can go to this website, and when you scroll, like at the beginning for your student, it says, are you the student or are you the parent? That makes it pretty simple to know who to go into, all right? But the parents have to have a separate email, a separate account. They changed this when my son was in college, and I got locked out because we always used my information for my son too. But now your student has an ID and you have an ID. The terrific thing about this is, in the past, we had to guesstimate how much money we're going to make this year. Now, with your ID, we can link over to the IRS and the taxes that you may have filed by this last April 15. We can click over, and with one click, boom, it fills in all those questions. And you don't have to go back in and change it later because you've actually retrieved it from the IRS. It is a beautiful thing if you remember your ID and password. And we're here to help if you get locked out. I came back many, many times last year to help students that had gotten locked out. Okay, so the reason we do this is the college needs to find out your expected family contribution, the EFC. If you're visiting colleges, they're going to be asking about that number. It does not mean you're going to write a check for what that number comes out, but they want to see what the resources are. They're going to look at the cost of the tuition and room and board, and then they're going to see what you may have, and the difference is the need. And that's how we figure out if you could qualify for a grant or not. So once you fill out the FAFSA, and there used to be a panic to do it really quick after New Year's Day because the Kentucky money ran out. It doesn't run out the same way. So there's not a panic to do it immediately. I do recommend doing it before Thanksgiving. This year the state money lasted till June. That's like unheard of. I would still try to get it done by Thanksgiving. So I'll be here on October the 25th. We'll be here to help you out. After you do it, that gets sent to the college, and we hurry up and do it, but we may not hear from the college for a month or two. We may not hear till January. Don't panic. It's just they're going to need time to process everything, but eventually they will send you an award letter breaking down what the cost is and what kind of aid is possible at that school. You may have heard of being verified. Don't panic if you're verified, it's not personal, but if our government, federal or state, is going to be handing out thousands of dollars, we want them to make sure they're handing it out correctly, right? So 1 out of 3 people may be verified. Again, it's not personal, it's just that they want a little bit more information before they release those funds. Okay, so in your book on page 18, this is what we're going to find out as soon as we hit that submit. Instantly, we're going to know, does your student qualify for any of the federal Pell Grant? It's over $6,000 now. So your student could get $1,000, $3,000, or the full $6,000. If they get the full $6,000, they just got a free ride to HCEC-TV with money left over for their books and probably gas and food, okay? The lovely thing about the federal Pell Grant is it does not run out. It's good anywhere in the United States, so that's great. If they wait till next July, it would still be available. Here's what's not always available. On page 19, that top one is the state grant. It's $1,900, and it's an all or nothing. So if you got $1 from the federal government, you're going to get all of the $1,900. Now, when we hit the submit on the FAFSA, because it's the pre-application for federal student loan aid, it's only going to tell us about the federal Pell Grant. But we know in Kentucky, if you get any of that, you get all of the 1,900. Now, if your family's like mine, two adults working and one child, we did not qualify for the federal Pell Grant or for the state CAP grant. But we have another grant called the Kentucky Tuition Grant. It's right at $3,000, and that's to help your student go to a private college if they want to. You may have heard, don't bother doing the FAFSA, you're not going to get any money. Don't listen to them, because it's different for everybody, and it's different depending on which school your student goes to. It's dependent on the age of the oldest parent, how many are in the home, how many more kids are going to college, which school are they going to. It was actually more affordable for our son to go to a private college than to go to the community college, because a private college gave him a bunch of random scholarships. Again, you just don't know till you start engaging with the colleges and finding out. But the Kentucky Tuition Grant and the state CAP grant, they are only good in Kentucky, and they do run out. This year they lasted till June. Again, definitely before Christmas, I would try to do it by Thanksgiving. All right, I want you to see how this looks. Oh, quickly on your KEYS money. Your students, if you're a Kentucky resident, and they've been in school in a school calendar year at least 140 days, they earn money for good grades. If they have a C+, they get 125 all the way up to 500. They get one amount for each year of high school. They get one amount for their highest ACT. When they graduate, we add it all together, and that's how much they get each year of college. Now here's a new thing. If your student does not want to go for a bachelor degree or an associate degree, they want to do an apprentice program, this is the first year our students will be able to use their KEYS money for an approved apprentice program. And that means they can use it for their clothing, their tools, their shoes, transportation. We're really trying to open up the way the KEYS money can be used. So if your student is like, I'm not doing anything, still have them check their KEYS money and try to get as high as they can, because come May, they may change their mind, and there could be a really nice apprentice program that they could fit into. So we do have a lot of options now. That total, our son ended up with $1,600. I've seen students with a full $2,500. They get half of it in the fall, half in the spring. If the grades are good, they get it again the next year. They get it 4 years in a 5-year window. KEYS money is a beautiful thing. All right, I want to show you a case study real quickly. This is a family of 4, 2 adults. I think the oldest parent is 46, and the younger child is 12. When they hit the submit, now think about the Pell Grant, it's right at $6,000. Their EFC showed that they were going to have, does it show up there? No, it doesn't, but their EFC showed $2,100. Again, it doesn't mean they're going to write a check for $2,100. These columns represent our different types of schools. This one shows our community colleges. It's showing it costs $14,000 to go to ECTCS. It doesn't. The tuition there is going to be close to $4,000. Where does the other $10,000 come in? Well, they have to eat, and they have to sleep somewhere, and they need transportation and health insurance. These are things you're already doing. So that $2,100, you're already providing that at home if they're going to live at home. Our 4-year public schools, they're showing they're running about $23,000. If they're living on campus, that is pretty much the sticker price right now. It's not what they're going to pay, but it is what it's showing. Private colleges are showing around $39,000. Again, when my son left St. Catherine and went to University of Cumberland's, their sticker price was $32,000. He got over $26,000 free. You just have to shop it and see what comes out. Because this EFC shows 2,100, they're getting 3,900 from the federal Pell Grant. So if they go to HCEC-TVS, they just got it mostly paid. They're building on it for the four-year school and for the private. Because they got part of the Pell Grant, now they're getting all of that 1,900. These are grants, money you don't have to pay back. This student at HCEC-TVS has money left over to help pay for their books, fees, other things they need. We're building on the tuition for the four-year schools. For the private college, that's where that $3,000 grant comes in. Then we have keys. This is just an estimate, say $1,500. This student that's going to the community college is getting quite a bit of money back now. And you may wonder, why are we doing this in October? Because that gives us 10 months to figure out what is the best choice for our student. Yes, they all want the big, huge universities. But when it comes down to the bottom line, we want to think what's good for their heart, what's good for their head, and what's going to put them in the best position when they're 25, not 19 out of the gate. We want to think down the pipe a little bit. All right, now this big area is the institutional grant. I haven't seen too many times at the community college where they get extra grant money back. Maybe they do, but in these other two columns, especially the private college, that's where my son cleaned up. You need to check all categories, and we really recommend when you do the FAFSA, list a community college, list a four-year public, and list at least one private. That gives your student room to change their mind when they get to the bottom line. Then we have loans. Now, this student here at college line is getting money back, but they are offered a loan. And if they're living on their own, they may truly need that loan. But if they don't need it, you don't have to take it. In fact, when our son was going to the private college, he lived at home in the first one, and we X'd out part of that loan. We shrunk it down to just what he needed because they don't get out of paying loans back. We want to keep that as low as possible. Now, you can see there's a gap there in these last two columns. And when you get an award letter, it can be confusing because we don't always see that gap. But there could be, and that's where you need to have real conversations with your family. How are we going to fill that gap? So this is a sample award letter showing $39,000. And we can see that Pell Grant is split half and half. Same with the CAP, the Kentucky Tuition Grant, the KEYS money, the college scholarships, and then here are the loans. So here's the difference between the two types of loans. Subsidized means while the college, there's no interest accruing. The government's taking care of that. Unsub means there is interest accruing. If they borrow 2,222, at the end they could owe 8 with a subsidized. With an unsub, it's going to be closer to 9,000. All right, because interest is building. With our son, we rejected. You have an accept and reject. We rejected that. And this one, we accepted, but we put a note to reduce it to exactly what he needed. All right? But when we look at it, it adds up to $34,000. They're not going to show a gap, but you need to be aware there is one. And that's where you have to have discussions with your student. Could they fill out scholarship applications? Could they work on the weekends? Could they get a summer job? In our case, we had a giant graduation party, invited tons of people, and he got lots of money. And I'm serious about that. If your student has a goal, they have 3 hits, their birthday, Christmas, and graduation. Let family members know what is their goal. How can they make that where they don't have to borrow money? All right, this is a lot of conversation. We have information more on the table that gives you some tips on filling out the FAFSA. If you didn't get the books, come by. And if you have personal questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them. One question for sure, until your child is married, 24 active military or has a child they can prove they provide the majority of the income, the federal government wants your parent information. Again, it does not mean you're paying for their college, but they want to know what the resources could be. If you are a grandparent, we never need your information unless you have adopted that child. If you have legal guardianship, and I don't mean custody, one parent or the other parent, legal guardianship where the parent's rights have been removed, that child is considered independent and we don't need anybody else's information but the child. If they are in foster care, we have another book that shows how the tuition can be waived. If they have been adopted through a state program, we have some information how they can get their tuition waived in our state. These are questions where it gets kind of hinky. I'm happy to try to answer them for you, but please, grandparents, even if you're providing everything, the government doesn't think that you should have to pay for your grandchild's college. Hopefully you've got legal guardianship so they're considered independent. All right, I know that's a lot to cover. I'm going to be over there. I'll go into more detail and ideas on how to get money at the Regional College Fair on September 17th, and I'm going to turn it back over. Thank you all.
Hey guys, my name is Amy Cohn. Okay, I am the Director of Recruitment at HCEC-TV. I'm going to make this really short and sweet for you guys, especially since Tony did an awesome job of doing my job for me, telling you some of the reasons why you should come to HCEC-TV. I know that you guys are probably pretty familiar since we're right in your backyard, but we do have several different reasons why we believe that you guys should all consider HCEC-TV. Number one, we have class offerings, affordable tuition, and local. I'm going to go into those three in a little more detail in a second. The last ones I'm going to kind of breeze over today, but if you have more questions, you can always come up. In terms of class sizes, master teachers, master advisors, and student life. I completely understand. I went to a large four-year school, went straight away, loved it, had a lot of fun. However, there was some things that were not necessarily my favorite. Number one, my English 101 class, I went in and it was in the stadium and I was one of 563 students. 563 students. So not only am I feeling a little overwhelmed, but then in walks a teacher and, or who I thought was the teacher, she walks in and she says that she is the graduate assistant. Basically what that means, it's a person that's about a few years older than me, teaching myself and my other 500 closest friends about the class that I was taking. That does not happen at HCEC. Our average class size is 19 to 1. It gives you a lot more connection with your professors, and you are indeed taught by your professors. All of our professors have the same credentials as anyone else that is teaching at a major university. They could go and teach at any of our public or private universities in the country. However, they choose to teach at a community college. One of the big reasons is because they love students. They love to connect with you guys. They love to get to know you. In a class with 19 students, they will get to know you, and they're brilliant. You get to learn from them, ask them a lot of questions. Another thing, master advisors. Basically, these mean when we're looking at our class offerings, no matter what you want to do, where you want to go, we have people that can help you along that journey. Believe it or not, you may change your mind on what you want to study in college between now and when you get out of college. And we understand that. And so all of your academic advisors that you're going to meet with can very quickly pivot with you from welding, no, I want to be a nurse, no, I want to be a teacher. Okay, let's just go on this path with you. And so we kind of really help you and keep your options open while you're at school with us. And then also student life. Things that you all may not know, we do have sports teams. We do have clubs. We have basketball, volleyball, men's and women's soccer. We compete against other colleges. We have mascots, we have pep rallies, all of that fun stuff. We have Thursday night movie nights, dances, concerts. So you do get that community and college atmosphere on our campus. So class offerings, there are kind of two different groupings when you're thinking about HCEC-TV. We have the community college and the technical college. If you've been around, you know that these used to be two different colleges. 2004, we became one. First of all, I explain those as our go to work and go to school. Go to work are 2-year degrees. You come to us, you get all your education in 2 years, and you go get a job. So those are all of our technical programs. We're going to look at several here in a second, but overall we have 25 areas, anything from welding, mechanic, nurse, early childhood education, criminal justice, 25 different areas where you come to us and then you go out into the workforce. Then you have your go to school, and those are your transfer plans. So no matter what else you want to be in this entire world, you will have to take English, you will have to take speech, you will have to take a math, and so on and so forth. So you come to us and get those basics out of the way. So we come get your basics, get your gen eds, and then you transfer. We have transfer agreements set up with every public college in the state of Kentucky, most private colleges in the state of Kentucky, and colleges outside of the state of Kentucky where they accept our credits. So you're not going to lose anything. In fact, you're going to gain a lot, especially when we look at the tuition. One really quick thing, when we do talk about transferring, one statistic that came out this last year was that students that started at community college end up graduating faster and with better GPAs than students that go straight to a university. So these are our class offerings. Like I said, there's 25 different programs. I want to highlight the new ones this year. We do have a new agriculture program. It has 3 pathways inside of it: our agriculture technology, sustainable agriculture, and ag education. We also have stenography. That is one that has been a long time coming. We're accepting our first class January of this coming year, so you guys will be able to start that right away. Right now, we will be the 3rd college in the entire state of Kentucky that offers this program. From college, universities will only be the 3rd one that offers that program. And then we also have paramedic. We've had our EMT certification for a while, but now we've partnered with Owensboro Community and Technical to also offer the paramedic degree as well. So another reason why you might want to come here, affordable tuition. Tony talked a lot about it. Our tuition price is $169 per credit hour. A general student takes between 12 to 15 credit hours a semester. You can see the cost ends up being, like Tony said, right around $4,000, $4,248, and that is for the whole year. So that's the cost of all of your tuitions. So everyone always asks, well, what about your fees? Okay, so here's our long list of fees that you have at ECTC. An $8 per credit hour mandatory student fee that goes to help improve the building. So new light bulbs and paint and so on and so forth. And that's it. There's no parking, there's no extra fees of any kind. So it's that price plus $8 per credit hour is your bill to go. And you can see the comparisons of the different universities. Also, we're local. That may not be a huge draw to some of you that are sitting by your parents like, oh, I don't want to live with them anymore. But hang in there with me, because you can see what's one thing that happens when you are local. You do not have to pay for room and board. The cost of room and board is usually the same cost or around the same cost as tuition. So just take that previous slide that we just looked at, the cost of UK and U of L, and then times it by 2, and that's how much it really costs, because you're not having to pay for room and board. Again, we have the flat fee. Now that very bottom is to get your entire degree with us. So that $10,000, I don't really like our new graphics, the yellow you can't really see, but it has the tuition and then plus books and supplies times 2 years is how they got to that $10,000. So what's next with ECTC? Come and see us. We have campus tours every single week that we have class in session. I have a variety of mornings, afternoons, evenings. So come and look on campus. We have a brand new renovated building. It has smart technology, like the walls that you can touch and the things that move around, and some really cool things. I lead most of the tours. The number one thing I hear is, wow, I had no idea it was this big. So that is kind of the next step. We're going to be around. We will be at the college fair that Tony mentioned. We will be coming back here, helping you guys with financial aid questions, anything else. We have college coaches that can come here and meet with your student independently and work with them if they're undecided and want to figure out what major is best for them. So we are definitely here, but we want you to come see us and see what we have to offer. I'll be up here if you have any other questions or have specific, want specific information about any of the programs we offer or any of the scholarships. The biggest one, it's actually run through Kia. It's the Work Ready Scholarship. You may have heard about it. Basically, it is a state scholarship that comes through and pays for tuition in any of 5 high demand, high wage career fields. We have a lot of programs that fall under this scholarship, and they cover any after your grants. So if there is anything that you owe that's not covered by financial aid, so if you get nothing, if you get none of the Pell, none of the CAP, no grants, the Work Ready Kentucky Scholarship, if you're a Kentucky resident and a U.S. citizen and you don't have a degree, will come in and pay for your college, for your associate's degree. So free tuition. So if you have any questions about any of that, you can come and stop by and see us.
Hey, Amy and ECTC. They will also have an enrollment event in the spring. It's usually early May, sometimes late April, where if your child plans to go to ECTC, they will come in and make an appointment with your child, and you can come in as well. And before they ever even leave high school, they will have their summer class scheduled if they want to go to school this summer, but they'll for sure have their fall scheduled. And there will be counselors here to help them with their major and what classes they need to sign up for. They'll know exactly what their class schedule is going to be, when it's going to start. They'll have representatives from the financial aid office here so that you and your child will all know when payments are due and how to do that, and that is all through ECTC. My dual credit students, I think I've said this once, but it's worth mentioning again. So Tony talked about the 2 free scholarships, and some of you are in a dual credit class in T1, trimester 1 and trimester 2. Those are both fall classes. This got us messed up last year. Because a lot of the other parts of the state work on semesters, we work on trimesters. So T1 and T2 are both fall. T3, trimester 3 is a spring class. So when you go into your Kia account to mark where you want your money sent, T1 and T2 are fall, T3 is spring. Also, my dual credit folks, if you do not complete the Kia part, so if you don't log into your account and mark where you want your money sent, then your parents are responsible for the bill. And this happened last year, and I can tell you there were some mad mamas and daddies, and there was not one thing I could do to help them. Because they're children. I cannot do this. The teacher cannot do this. Mr. Wells cannot do this. You and or your child have to go in and mark this money and mark where you want it sent. And if that is not done, then all the money is spent and it's gone. They have to do this on their own, okay? And she mentioned the deadlines for that, and your students have already started this process, we hope. I've been into I've been into dual credit classrooms 3 times already this year, so. All right, I have just a few little cleanup items. So I am Tara Graziano. I am your child's counselor. If their last name is A through J. Mr. Lewis is in the corner over here, and he is your child's counselor if their last name is K through Z. Especially by the time your child becomes a senior, we pretty much keep to alphabet because we have been dealing with your child for almost 4 years now, so we know a little bit more about them. We have Miss Carla Harden, our registrar, and she is sitting in the corner. And we have a new position. Today was her first day on the job, so your child will get a chance to meet her soon. Her name is Kim Case, and she is our college and career readiness coach. She will be meeting with your child in small group settings and one-on-one to make sure that they have a plan for when they leave here. We have found, and I know this doesn't happen at home to you all ever, but we have found that they tell us what we want to hear, and they tell us what they're going to do when they graduate, and then they do not one thing about it. They just think that when they graduate from here, it's all going to fall in place, and something's going to happen, and the heavens are going to open up and provide for them. So she is going to help make sure that they have a plan in place to actually make sure and that they have gone on and applied, or they have gone to Accabono to see, I need a physical, I need to have this, I need this. If that's where I'm going to go get a job, I have to have all these things in place and make sure that that is going to happen. We have met with each of your seniors last year. Most of them were met with unless they were in and out for absent or at EC3 when we met with them. And then this year we have met with them through senior English classes. We went over the senior transcript review, which you got a copy of. You also got a copy of their transcript. You might notice that your child is still in grade 11 on that transcript. Don't panic. Those were printed at the end of last year before the district rolled over and your child became a senior. So they really are grade 12. One year I had a mama really upset about that. So Mr. Lewis and I went through this summer and did a senior credit checklist. We made sure that your children were in the classes that they needed to be in. Your children have also done a credit checklist to make sure that we didn't miss anything, because in the end they know that this is their education and they're the ones ultimately responsible to make sure that they have the classes that they need. And together we have made sure that they are in the courses that they need in order to graduate on time from John Harden. You'll see on there that they have told us the way that they want their name printed on their diploma. So if you have anything different that you want on there, make sure that you shoot us an email. And we have discussed the ACT and SAT. We have several means of communication. I do recommend that you look at the morning announcements. They are on our website. Log in every day and look and see. Those are in the morning at 8:30. Your child does a lot. 8:30 and 3:30, and what they thought was important then and what they meant to talk to you about, they just don't remember by the time they finally make it through their 5 classes, lunch and everything at the end of the day, and then you all have dinner. It's just gone. So if you write down what you need to discuss with them, then that way you can have that communication with them. We also have the guidance glimpse. It's on our webpage. You go to the guidance page and the guidance glimpse is on there. That is where we update, Ms. Harden updates that. Well, she put 2 potential scholarships on there already today, and that she updates it as she gets them in. So on the guidance glimpse webpage, I tell your students all the time, we are never going to say, hey, there's a scholarship on there for you. Hey, we've put a new scholarship on there. If we did that, we would be doing it every single day. Now, that doesn't mean that all those scholarships apply to your child. There will be a scholarship if you have Bluegrass Cellular as a cell phone carrier. There will be a scholarship available for your child to apply for if you get your electric through Nolan or HCEC. So I don't know those things about you or your children. So you have to go in there and see which ones of those scholarships apply to your child. If your child is going to participate in athletics beyond high school, if they're going to swim, run, whatever it is that they think they're going to do, they have to register with either the NCAA clearinghouse or the NAIA clearinghouse, and there is a fee associated with each of those. Mr. Lewis handles all of that, so after you get on there and set up the account, it sends him an email, but if you have questions along the way, please feel free to ask him. College Fair, and Ms. Wiley already discussed this. She will go into much more detail about the financial aid at that time, so you'll want to make sure that you get one of her 30-minute seminars. I will talk about here letters of recommendation. Some colleges ask for letters of recommendation. Mr. Lewis and I only need to write a letter if it says from a counselor. If it does not say from a counselor, they don't want to know what we know. They want to know what the teachers know. Does your child pay attention in class? Are they inquisitive? Do they sit in their seat? Do they do what they're supposed to do? Do they turn things in on time, or are they always late? And those are the things that the teacher can discuss in their letters of recommendation. Mr. Lewis and I, on a little more general level, we discuss GPA, transcript, the type of diploma, things they're involved in, which is all good, but unless it says a counselor rec, then they don't want to hear from us. They want to hear from teachers, and we need at least 2 weeks notification and the teachers do as well. Anyone needs at least 2 weeks notification if a letter of recommendation is needed. Ms. Wiley already discussed this, that colleges are looking for GPA and ACT. A lot of students have already been down asking about the ACT. The next date that is available is the October 27th, and the deadline to register for that is September 28th. The fee for the ACT did go up this year substantially. I wish my paycheck had gone up this much. So it used to be $42 to take the ACT. This year it is now $50.50. Just be ready. I'm not sure if I updated that in here. No pass, no drive, and most of these students already have their license. Just know, try to help your students stay on track. At this point in the ballgame, we are more looking at taking their license away from them because they get senioritis really bad about the end of the second trimester, beginning of the third trimester. So stick with them, help them stay on track so that they can keep their license. Transcripts, all of your students were handed a paper with a code on it, either at the end of last year or at the beginning of this year. And it was for parchment. And it was a 2-page paper with a code and detailed instructions on how to set up an account to request a transcript. This is the way that transcripts are sent. There is no fee until August 1st after they've graduated. So hopefully we'll graduate in May. We know that's not going to happen based on John Belsky's forecast. So it'll be about mid-June when we graduate. But they will not be charged for any transcripts until August 1st, or it'll be on August 1st that they will be started charging. So make sure that they get their final transcripts sent before then. And that is it. Are there any questions that are good for the group? Yes? Good job. So her question is, if the first ACT that your child took was last year when they took it here at school, even if that wasn't the first one that they took, if that one, if they had an ACT account set up before then, and they now have started applying to colleges, and the colleges require their ACT scores, it's probably a pretty lengthy process on your part. So if they've already set up an ACT account prior to the one here, there's about a 50-50 shot that the one they took during the school day is on that ACT account. If it is not, it's a phone call, fairly lengthy phone call, get ready to wait on hold while they go in and link up the 2 accounts, and they have to go in and link them up. If the first test they took was here at the high school, then they have to call ACT, and they will walk them through the process and help them set up an account. Again, a fairly lengthy process where it is a step-by-step And then they have an account set up online. And at that point, anytime a college needs an ACT score, it is used to be $8. If it's like everything else, it's probably like 12 or 14 now, fee to have it sent directly. ECTC accepts the ACT scores that are on our transcripts. UK, U of L, and Western do not. It has to come directly from the college board for that. Good question. Any others? Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Wells.
Students, I want to remind you, Miss Fowler and Miss Field. Miss Field is over here by the wall. Miss Fowler is sitting down. They volunteer their time on Thursdays after school, 3:30 to 5 o'clock. This was their idea last year. I did not ask them to do this. They do not get paid to do this. But they will stay after school and help you with college applications, scholarships, academic resumes, and essays for applications. Please take advantage of that. It's a good opportunity for you. Tomorrow during Focus 40, seniors only, Coach Lewis is going to be in room 103. He can help you enroll in college. We're going to offer this a few times in Focus 40. Pay attention to the schedule. Again, take advantage of that opportunity to get the extra help. Ms. Graziano referenced Kim Case. She started today. She will be meeting with you guys individually. Be looking forward to that. She's going to talk to you about your future plans. She can also help you with applying for college and finding scholarships. The last thing, we have the National Guard here today. Make sure you stop by and see their table if you're interested in joining the Guard. I greatly appreciate your time. If you would, let's give a round of applause for Terry Graziano, Chad Lewis, for organizing tonight to all our speakers. Be safe going on. Be safe going on. If you have any questions, make sure you stop by and ask. Thank you.